You can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Here's a great quote from Carlos Castaneda. Any path is only a path, and there's no affront to oneself or to others in dropping it if that's what your heart tells you to do. And from Cicero, any man can make mistakes, but only an idiot persists in his error. You can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Any problem can be resolved with a spiritual solution. One of the most intriguing passages in A Course in Miracles suggests that you don't have a problem. You only think you do. The opening lines of the Torah as well, in Genesis in the Bible, state, God created heaven and earth, and later, all that God created was good. If you interpret these words literally, it's quite clear that problems are impossible. If God created everything and all that God created was good, then bad doesn't exist. But you say disease, disharmony, despair, and so on appear to exist and run rampant in our world. When we feel separated from our sacred center, it's easy to believe so strongly in the separation that we explain any unpleasantness as a problem. In the world of spirit or God, problems simply don't exist and aren't real. When your spiritual connection is weak, you move away from the world of spirit and problems come from your belief in separation. Your mind creates the illusion of separateness, and your body, influenced by your ego thoughts, takes on disease. Our societies are the creation of our collective thoughts. They take on the same separation sickness, and then we have what we call social problems. All of the so-called problems, however, represent a spiritual deficit that can be remedied with spiritual solutions. Think of it this way. If you change your mind, you'll solve the problem. I've written an entire book on this subject called There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. How to go about changing your mind. Can you accept the idea that it's your belief in your separation from God that creates the attitude that you label a problem? Can you explore this idea that what you're calling problems are all simply illusions or mistakes of your intellect? If God is everywhere, there's no place that God is not. Therefore, you have God with you at all times. You may believe otherwise. That is this belief system that creates your so-called problems. If you can bring truth to the presence of these illusions, they will dissolve. Just as you know that 3 plus 3 equals 6 is true and that 3 plus 3 equals 10 is untrue, by bringing truth to the presence of this arithmetic error, it simply dissolves. So too will all of your beliefs that create problems in your mind dissolve when you bring the higher energy of truth to them. Saint Francis of Assisi, in his famous prayer, beseeches us to change our mind to this thought. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Light always dissolves darkness. Love always nullifies hate. Spirit always cancels problems. Problems exist as beliefs of your ego mind, which is unable to conceptualize an awareness of your spiritual mind. Just as dark has no concept of light, by actually rewriting your agreement with reality, you can change your mind and send away any perceived problem, change your attitude for yourself, and resolve to believe in your connectedness to the higher energy of God, even in the direst of circumstances. Turn anything that seems problematic over to your higher self, trusting that the problem is not what it seems to be. Rewrite your agreement about who you are and what you're capable of achieving. Your new agreement with reality. Your thoughts are the source of virtually everything in your life. Every relationship that you're in is something that you carry around with you. If your relationship is lousy, it's because you think of it that way. The person you're in a relationship with isn't with you in this moment or when you're at work or when you're in the bathroom, but your thoughts about that person are always with you. The only way you can experience another person is in your thoughts. You can't get behind their eyeballs and be them. You can only process them with your thoughts. If you look for what's wrong about them and store that negative image in your mind, then that's where your relationship exists. If you change your thoughts to what you love rather than what you label as wrong, you've just changed your entire relationship. It went from lousy to great by your changing your mind. Try to always remember that you carry every relationship around with you in your head. Robert Frost reminds us, you love the things you love for what they are. When you forget this and process other people on the basis of what you think they should be or what they used to be or how they compared to what you are, then you've sent love away. And in your mind, the relationship is soured. You experience everything and everyone in your thoughts. Change your thoughts, and you change what you carry around in your head as problems. The world is just the way it is. The economy is just as it should be. The people who are behaving badly in the world are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You can process it in any way that you choose. If you're filled with anger about all those problems, you are one more person who contributes to the pollution of anger. Your desire to do something about the lowest energies will motivate you to be more loving, more feeling, and more peaceful. And in so doing, you may influence those who are the farthest removed from God to return to their source. This new agreement with yourself to always stay connected to Spirit, even when it seems to be the most difficult thing to do, will allow whatever degree of perfect harmony that your body was designed for to proliferate. Turn diseases over to God and treat your body to regular exercise, healthy food, large amounts of pure water, and plenty of rest to allow it to function as a container for Spirit to flow through. Your new agreement with reality, in which you blend your physical self and your personality with your spiritual God-connected self, will begin to radiate a higher energy of love and light wherever you go. Others will experience the glow of your God consciousness, and disharmony and disorder and all manner of problems simply will not flourish in your presence. Become an instrument of thy peace, as St. Francis desires in the first line of his famous prayer. Move up the ladder of human awareness from the lowest to the highest. Become a mystical being by simply changing your mind from one that created and experienced problems to one that resolves them. The 3 levels of consciousness throughout your life. You can measure yourself on the following 3 levels of consciousness. Few, if any, ever stay at any one level all of the time. These levels of awareness are presented from lowest to highest. The first and lowest level, called ego consciousness. In ego consciousness, your primary emphasis is on your personality and your body. There's an exceptionally strong belief in your separateness from everyone else, from all that you'd like to attract into your life, and from God. This attitude puts you into a state of competing for your share. If your job is to get there first, winning and being number one seem to be the most important things you can do. When you live at the level of ego consciousness, you spend a lot of your time measuring your success on the basis of how do I stack up against others. If you have more than others, you feel better about yourself. Having more money makes you feel better. Accumulating more awards and prestige and climbing higher on the corporate ladder encourages you to feel good about yourself. Ego consciousness prides you to compete, compare, and conclude that you are the best. So you concentrate on running faster and looking better than others. It's at this level of consciousness that problems exist. This is where your inner peace is virtually impossible, and success eludes you because you must always be striving to be someplace else. In order to walk comfortably along the extra mile, you must tame this ever-demanding, impossible-to-satisfy ego. Feelings of despair, anger, hatred, bitterness, stress, and depression stem from the ego's anxiety and insistence on living up to an external standard. The result is the anguish of not measuring up or fitting in properly. The ego will seldom allow you to rest and demands more and more because it's terrified that you'll be called a failure. When you move beyond ego and make your higher self the dominant force in your life, you'll begin to feel that contentment and inner glow of peace and success that characterizes the extra mile. The second level is called group consciousness. Group consciousness is similar to ego consciousness, with the exception that you move past yourself as the central focus of your life, and you now include others who are members of your tribe or your clan. You suppress your individual ego and join a larger organization, the group ego. Your membership is based upon your family, your heritage, your racial backgrounds, your religion, your language, your political affiliations, and so on. You're required to think and act like the group to which you've been assigned. You go to war in the name of patriotism to kill others who have been conditioned to do the same. You identify yourself as a particular ethnic person, often with labels such as Italian, Chinese, or African American. At the group consciousness level, you're often dedicated to continuing social problems such as war, brutality, and religious persecution, which originated in ancestral enmities that have existed for thousands of years. But it also comes right down to daily living. Families insist that you adopt this viewpoint, hate whom they hate and love whom they love. You have blind allegiance to a company that may be making weapons of destruction, a concept to which you're normally opposed, but you do it anyway because it's my job. Some policemen and soldiers victimize their fellow human beings by behaving worse than the criminals or so-called enemies they abhor so much. Our inhumanity to our fellow human beings is often justified on the grounds of a group consciousness mentality. Members of gangs or societies will behave in horrid ways spurred on by a group or clan mentality. In short, what the group dictates becomes your identification card as a human being. Remember that you can't solve any problem with the same mind that created it. In order to resolve a struggle that results from group consciousness, you have to change your mind or continue to have the problem haunt you. Resolving problems related to group consciousness involves moving into the highest level, which is the third level, and called mystical consciousness,